Hi Scrubs, I hope you're well. So we're back in Horse Riding Tales. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys all of my horses in the game. So it's kind of an all my horses video, stable tour. So along with those, I will also be showing you guys all of the pets that I currently own in the game. So let's go ahead and have a look. So let's start with Violet. This is the first horse that I ever had in the game. I'm very fond of this horse, which is why I've never sold her. She is a common. She's a white common. She has Jolly, Hardy, and Quirky as her traits. She was my main competition horse for a very long time before I realised that actually her stamina gain was too little per level up and it was better to put my apples into a more rare horse. Now the next one after this was Snowdrop. This is a coat that I really like because I like grey horses. I love the little black tips on the ears. So this is the Majestic White, this is the Uncommon, and her traits are Spirited, Steady, and Calm. So that is Snowdrop. The next horse, which is a little bit different to the other ones, is Daisy. So this is Daisy, and Daisy is the first rare that I ever caught in the game. She has the traits Swift, Jolly, and Calm. So this was the first, as I said, the first rare that I ever caught. The next rare that I caught after this, now I do like her blue eyes. This next one also has really pretty blue eyes. This is Foxglove. So Foxglove is a dapple grey, and I also love dapple grey horses. This is a rare, and she has the traits Aloof, Calm, and Swift. This is actually one of my favourite of the more common coats in the game, in terms of the pattern of the coat. And the next one is the first horse that I ever got that was an epic. So this is Blue Rose. And Blue Rose is a blue fantasy. Her traits are Hardy, Swift, and Bold. This is a really beautiful coat. It's one of my favourite coats, and definitely when I first started it was a coat that I really did hope to one day get. And Blue Rose I used for quite a while actually, but then after that I got my very first unicorn. So this is Lavender. Plenty of you are probably familiar with Lavender. She's the unicorn. She has epic rarity, and her traits are Spirited, Quirky, and Bold. And she was like my main competition horse for a really long time before I ever got a fantasy horse. This was the horse that I used for a lot of my dressage and stuff like that. She was with me for a very long time. She's lovely pink eyes. She's just a very pretty horse, and I think it's nice that she's a little bit different to some of the other Snow White grey horses that we have. Now after this is a much more recent horse. This is Dandelion. This is one of the Arabians. So Dandelion stats is an epic and it's a bay Arabian, okay? Aloof, Steady, and Quirky. This is not one of my favourite coats in the entire game, but I'm just not a massive fan of bay horses compared to grey horses and black coloured coats. I really like those. Those are my preference. This is still a pretty horse, and I still like the Arabian model. I think sometimes their faces may be a little bit too dishy, but they do look like an Arabian. They're pretty identifiable. So then we have after that, we have Fire Lily, and this is a horse that I really wanted when I started. This is an epic fire horse, and the traits for this one are Quirky, Steady, and Calm. So that's Fire Lily, and I really like this horse. I'd actually hope that maybe in future we maybe get some more kinds of fire horses, possibly. I just think it'd be kind of interesting if we did get a couple more. Now the next one, I'm sure plenty of you know this horse. This is Clematis, or Clem as I like to call her. And this is, I think she was the first fantasy horse that I ever got, if I remember correctly. And I put everything into this horse in terms of apples. This was like my main focus for such a long time. Now she's an aqua horse, she's a fantasy. Her traits are Steady, Spirited, and Hardy. And she's been with me through everything. So basically she did dressage for me, she did the Skyrider tests for me, she also did some of the harder show jumping competitions as well. She is a star. This horse has been through with me through pretty much everything in terms of competitions and that. She's done very well, and is one of the horses that I'm the most fond of in the game, and also is a really nice coat, so I really like this horse. Now after this, the next one is Fire with a Y. So this is Fire with a Y, and we'll have a look at Fire stats. So this is a Fire Pegasus. It's a fantasy horse. This was one that I really wanted when I first started, and I was hoping it was going to be the first fantasy horse that I would catch. But I think out of the original fantasy horses that we had in the game, because back then we only had a few, This was the horse that I think I got last out of all the fantasy horses. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like it maybe was. Their stats are swift, bold, and sassy. And I've got, I think it's like a little Christmassy sort of set, red, gold, and white set on them at the moment. The next one was Catkin. Catkin I actually got for becoming a VIP. So Catkin was whenever I got my first VIP level. So that's where I got Catkin from. So Catkin is a Karache. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. I might be saying it wrong. I think I probably am. They're an epic. They have this really interesting sort of almost like a reverse dapple on their coat. It's really, really pretty. Their traits are hardy and bold and quirky. So this horse I haven't done a huge amount with other than leveling it up, but it is quite a nice horse. Now the next one we have after this is Lemongrass, and Lemongrass you guys would have met very, very recently. This is the newest horse that I've recently caught up until like today. So this is a rare woodland Arabian, and their traits are swift, calm, and sassy, and I've kind of been calling this horse Lemon for short. And I currently have the tack set that I got whenever I became a VIP. This is the tack set that came with Catkin, but I put it on Lemongrass because I thought the gold and the yellow really, or sorry, the gold and the green really sort of worked well with Lemon's green and yellow coat. So the next one after that was Lily, and this is Lily, and she is a white Arabian. She's a rare type. Sassy, quirky, and swift are her traits. She's not my favourite out of the Arabians. There's some of the other grey Arabians that I prefer over this particular one. I actually think this is probably one of my least favourite Arabians out of all of them. Just because I would have liked more definition in the coat. That's really the only thing that's really missing for this particular horse. Or maybe just a different colour of eye, just to maybe set off, maybe green or something like that. I just feel like this horse needs something to like lift its coat up a little bit. But it's still quite a nice horse. And then we have Tulip. Tulip is one of the Frisians, and this horse is the wavy Frisian. It's an epic rarity, and it's aloof, jolly, and calm. I did have two Frisians because I accidentally caught, I think, and captured and named two. This was the one of the two that I kept. They're currently only level 20. I haven't really leveled them up very much. So the next one is Poppy. So this is Poppy. Poppy is a black Arabian, and it's a rare horse. The traits on this one are swift, spirited, and steady. And it's a very, very cute horse. I love black horses, so just like the Frisian, this is a horse that I really like because it has a beautiful coat. Now, the next one after this is Orchid. Orchid is one of my fantasy horses, and Orchid is a white Pegasus, and it is obviously a fantasy horse, and the traits are quirky, spirited, and sassy. I have had Orchid for quite a long time. This was also one of my captures. So this is a very pretty horse, and I really, really like this particular one. And the next one after that is Hellebore. Hellebore is also a fantasy horse, as you can see here. They're a black Pegasus, and their traits are quirky, jolly, and calm. Now, this horse, I almost wish they'd gone with a different eye color on this horse, just because I feel like it is almost just pretty much, it's an all black horse, and its eyes are this sort of grey color. I just feel like I would have liked if they'd maybe done a different eye color with this horse, but otherwise I'm very, very fond of Hellebore. It is a very pretty horse. Now the next one we have is Blossom. So Blossom is super cute. I actually am not a huge fan of pink, but I love this horse. I think this horse is so cute. So this is a pink fantasy horse, and their traits are calm, bold, and sassy. Of course, Blossom would have to be sassy. So the next one after that is Bluebell. Bluebell is another fantasy horse that I have, and they're a purple fantasy horse. Their traits are jolly, quirky, and aloof. I really like the little spotting. It's almost like the night sky on this horse, except obviously she is sort of purple, but she is lovely. You can even see the little spots on the wings as well. This is a very pretty horse. Now the next one is Fern. Now this is actually one of my favourite Arabian coats. I really love this coat. It's this beautiful dapple grey. It's a smoky dapple Arabian. It's a rare. This particular one is jolly, spirited, and aloof. But Fern has such a pretty coat. I just adore this coat. It's so pretty. I love the black around the eyes, on the muzzle, the dappling, the two-tone in the teal, and the black legs. I just think this is such a cute coat, and it's one of my favourites in the Arabians. Now after this we have Azalea. So this is Azalea. This is the Arabian Night. This is an epic. This is also obviously one of the Arabian models. It is one that I'm actually quite fond of as well. It's jolly, hardy, and spirited. This was one that I didn't think I'd actually get, but I did actually get it as a capture whenever they released it as a capturable horse, so it is a very, very cute horse. I actually also have the fantasy version of this one, which I think we'll see shortly. Yeah, we're not too far away from that. The next one is Rose Gold. This is a golden Mustang. It is epic in rarity, and the traits are swift, bold, and jolly. This is Rose Gold, as I said, and I think I got them reasonably recently, like in the last couple of months. I haven't had Rose Gold a huge amount of time at all, actually. Now after that we have Night. Now, as I said, this is the fantasy version of that other horse we were looking at a moment ago. And this is the Night Pegasus. It's a fantasy. This particular one is quirky, bold, and sassy. I went with the name Night just because it was named Night Pegasus and I thought it would suit it. It is actually a very pretty horse, and I really like this particular fantasy Arabian. I like purple, so I do quite like this horse. Next one we have after that is Fur. This is another fantasy Arabian. This is the Tawny Pegasus, as it's called. As I said, it's a fantasy one. This one is sassy, aloof, and steady. And I've had this one, I think, a reasonable little while. Maybe around the same time I've had Night, possibly, and Azalea. And the wings on this one are especially pretty. I really like it. It almost looks gold, the way the wings are highlighted. Now the next one is a horse that we spent such a long time getting, and this is North. And North was basically, we got North whenever we finished the pet missions. If you're not familiar with those, there's 10 missions, and the last mission required that we had a pet that was level 100 and 2 that were level 50. And then we sent them off in hopes that they would return with North, and I had such a low percentage chance, but they came back with North, and I was really, really pleased. So this is North, as I said. This is a fantasy. The traits on North are sassy, quirky, and swift for my one. This is one of my favourites in terms of style. I love this horse because of like the ghostly demon looking eyes. I love the colour scheme of this horse, the glow that it has. It's just overall, it's a really nice horse, and that's why I really, really like it. Now after that we have Flora. Okay, here's Flora. So Flora is a floral Arabian. This is, I think, the rare, and then we have steady, jolly, and swift. This is, I think, out of all of the Arabians, like everything, including like the regular coats, the fantasy ones, and the epics, probably my least favorite coat, because I'm not overly a fan of the mane on this one because of the flowers that I've put in. I don't mind the flowers on the body, but the flowers in the mane look a little bit odd. I know that they're trying, obviously it is a floral Arabian, they're trying to make it look flowery, but I would have preferred there to be flowers sitting on the mane rather than sort of in the actual texture of the mane, if that makes sense. But overall, it's still quite a cute horse. I do love the eyes. The eyes are probably my favourite part of this horse. They're almost this iridescent colour with like almost purple-ish pink at the edges and then that lighter aqua in the middle. So it is still quite a nice horse. And then after that we have Lotus. So this is Lotus. This is one of the Arabians. This is the Dapple Arabian. Out of all of the regular coats, in terms of the greys, it's not up there with Fern, for example. Fern has such a beautiful coat. This Dapple Arabian just doesn't have the definition that the likes of Fern has for me. And there's something about the eyes. It's like there's something missing with the eyes on this one. But overall, it's still nice in terms of the coat isn't too bad, but I said it needs that more definition to this coat, I think, to really make it pop. But this one that I have is hardy, bold, and aloof in all of its traits. So those are all of the horses that I currently have. I think there's actually one horse in the game that I haven't yet caught. Yep, there is a horse that I'm missing, the Charmed Arabian. This is the one horse that I haven't captured. I did actually ironically capture this one a couple of weeks ago, but I thought I already had one and I let one go. So this is another horse that can be tamed from the wild, because most of my horses are wild tames. Other than, I think, my Woodland Arabian, which I got out of a chest, one of the reward chests, and obviously North being from the stories. But yeah, this is the one that I haven't got out of the ones that can be tamed in the wild. If you're not sure which ones can be tamed in the wild, do go in to where you can look at the horses and actually go through and click on each one, because then when you click on them, you can see how you can get them in the game. Like, for example, these ones say they can be tamed in the wild, but this one says you have to get it from a summon. So if you're not sure, you can go in there and have a look and see what horses are available and where you can get them. So the next thing we're going to look at is my pets. So I have a couple of them out here. I can't have all of them out. I do have Steve and Galaxy and Ruby and Skull, for example, out here. I have a couple of other ones, but we're going to pop in here into the pet section to have a look at the rest. So in here, I've taken all of my pets out of my companion slots so that we can actually have a proper look at them. So here we've got Glacier. Glacier was the newest pet that I got. This is the one that I got most recently. And then we have Finn, who I've had for quite a while. We have Raven here, who's also one of the foxes that I've had for a very long time, and is one of the ones that went on the North quests with me. We also have Miko, who's one of the raccoons. And then if I can scroll down, for some reason right now I can't seem to scroll down. There we go. We have Knight, who's one of the big cats, and we have Skull, who's one of the pigs. We have Potato, who's one of the bears, and then we have Ruby here, which is one of the main pets that I used with the North Quest as well. Then we have Drago, who's one of the big cats. Then we have Jack Frost, who's one of the deer. Tato, who's one of the fantasy bunnies, and then Akoto, who is one of the pigs. Then we have Nago, who is one of the rabbits, and then we have Chi, who's one of the pandas, and then we have Luna, and Steve, the social distancing deer, which I'm sure quite a few of you are familiar with, and then Galaxy. Galaxy was the first pet that I ever got in the game. It's been with me forever, and is also one of the pets that I took to get the North horse during the quests. So let me know down in the comments below what is your favourite pet and horse in the game, even if it's maybe not one that you own yet, or maybe just one that you hope to get. But anyway, scrubs, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you had a lovely day, and bye-bye!